Hello, English learner. Welcome back to English Speaking and Listening Club. I am so glad you are here today. I know you pressed play for a reason. Maybe you are sitting on a bus, maybe you are walking, maybe you are lying in bed late at night with your headphones on. Wherever you are, I want you to know that you are not alone. You are part of a family now. A family of people who want to speak English with confidence, with joy, with freedom. And today, I want to talk to you about something very important. Something that might be sitting heavy on your heart right now. The exhausting habit of explaining yourself, explaining your choices, explaining your feelings, explaining your existence, explaining why you are the way you are, why you do what you do, why you want what you want. I want to tell you something that might feel strange at first, something that might even feel wrong, but I need you to hear it. You do not owe anyone an explanation, not for who you are, not for what you choose, not for how you live, not for why you are learning English, not for anything. And today, we are going to explore why this is true, why it is so hard to accept, and how letting go of this need to explain will set you free. Let me start with a question. How many times today did you start a sentence with the word because? I am learning English because. I am late because. I am quiet because. I am different because. I said no because. How many times did you feel the need to justify your existence, to defend your boundaries, to prove that your feelings are valid, to convince someone that you are not a bad person? If you are like most people, the answer is many times. Too many times. And each explanation costs you something. It costs you energy. It costs you power. It costs you peace. And most dangerously, it costs you yourself. Because every time you explain, you are asking for permission to exist. You are saying, please approve of me. Please validate me. Please tell me I am okay. And when you live this way, you are not living. You are auditioning for a role in someone else's story, and I want you to be the author of your own. I know what you are thinking right now. You are thinking, but if I do not explain, people will misunderstand me. They will think I am rude. They will think I do not care. They will think I am strange or difficult or wrong. And yes, some people might. But here is the truth that nobody tells you. The people who want to misunderstand you will misunderstand you no matter how much you explain. You could write a book about your reasons, draw diagrams, hire a lawyer to present your case, and they would still find a way to twist your words, to doubt your motives, to make you feel small. Explanation is not protection. It is an open door for more interrogation. It is an invitation for people to debate your reality. And you do not owe anyone a debate about your own life. Think about the most confident people you know, not the loudest, not the most aggressive, but the truly confident. The ones who seem at peace. Have you noticed something about them? They do not explain much. They make decisions and let those decisions stand. They set boundaries without long speeches about why. They say no without justifying it with 3 paragraphs. They choose their path without handing out maps to everyone who asks, and people respect them for it. Sometimes they are curious, sometimes they are frustrated, but they respect the clarity, the solidity, the self-possession. Because confidence is not about being loud. It is about being rooted. And roots do not explain themselves to the wind. They simply hold. But I understand why you explain. I really do. You explain because you were taught that good people explain, that polite people justify, that love means accounting for every action, that family means no secrets, that friendship means total transparency. And these teachings are not entirely wrong. Connection does require honesty. Trust does require openness, but there is a difference between sharing and explaining, between offering and defending, between inviting someone into your world and begging them to approve of your map. Sharing is generous, explaining is defensive, and when you are always defending, you are always at war, even with the people you love, even with yourself. Let me tell you a story about a man named Thomas. Thomas came to me when he was 41 years old. He was successful by most measures. He had a good job, a nice apartment, friends, family, but he was exhausted. He told me that every conversation felt like a trial. Every choice felt like it needed a presentation. When he declined an invitation, he would write paragraphs about why he was busy, why he needed rest, why he hoped they would understand. When he disagreed with someone at work, he would prepare speeches about his reasoning, anticipating every counterargument, trying to cover every angle so nobody could accuse him of being wrong. When he started learning English at 39, he spent more time telling people why he was doing it, why he was not too old, why he was not wasting his time than he spent actually studying. He was performing his life instead of living it, and he was tired. so tired. We worked together for many months. Slowly, we started removing the word because from his vocabulary. Not completely, of course. There are times when explanation is necessary. When teaching, when collaborating, when connecting deeply with someone who truly wants to understand. But we removed it from his defensive language. We practiced saying no without adding anything after it. Just no. Or no, thank you. We practiced saying I prefer this without following it with a list of reasons. We practiced saying I feel this way without defending the feeling as logical or reasonable. At first, Thomas felt naked, exposed, rude. He would sit in silence after saying no, his mind screaming with all the justifications he was not offering. But he stayed with the discomfort, and something remarkable happened. People did not get angry. They did not leave. Some were surprised, yes. Some asked for more information, and he learned to decide in each moment whether to give it or to simply say, that is just what works for me. And the world kept turning. Relationships that were real remained. Relationships that were built on his constant explaining, his constant accommodating, began to shift. Some people pushed back, accused him of changing, of being difficult, and he learned to let them. He learned that their discomfort with his boundaries was not his problem to solve with more words. Today, Thomas is a different person. He still explains sometimes when it serves connection, but he no longer explains to survive. He told me recently that learning to stop explaining was the most important lesson of his life. More than his degrees, more than his promotions, more than learning English itself, because it gave him back to himself. It gave him the energy to actually live, rather than narrate his life to an audience of critics. He said something I will never forget. He said, I realized that every explanation was a little suicide, a small death where I killed my own authority to please someone else, and I am done dying. This is strong language, but it is accurate. Every unnecessary explanation is a small betrayal of yourself. It is a message to your own soul that your choices are not valid until someone else stamps them with approval. And that message, repeated daily, destroys confidence. It creates a person who does not know what they want unless someone else wants it too, who cannot feel what they feel unless someone else validates it, who cannot be who they are unless everyone agrees it is acceptable. This is not living. This is surviving by committee, and committees are terrible at running lives. They are slow, fearful, and obsessed with pleasing everyone, which means they please no one, least of all the person whose life it actually is. But I know the fear. I know it deeply. The fear that if you do not explain, you will be alone. That silence will replace conversation. That mystery will replace intimacy. And yes, some people will drift away when you stop explaining. The people who were only interested in controlling you. The people who needed your justifications to manipulate you. The people who fed on your self-doubt. They will find you less interesting when you are solid, less useful, and they will leave. But this is not loss. This is cleaning. This is making space for people who meet you as an equal, who trust your choices even when they do not understand them, who say, I do not get it, but I support you. Those people exist. And you will find them, or they will find you, once you stop filling the air with explanations and leave room for real connection. Now let us talk about English, because I know many of you explain your English too much. You apologize for your accent before you finish your first sentence. You warn people that your grammar is not perfect. You explain why you are learning, how long you have been studying, why you are not better yet. You hand people a list of reasons to be patient with you before they have even shown impatience. And in doing so, you diminish your own voice. You frame yourself as a problem to be managed rather than a person to be heard. Stop this. Your English does not need an introduction. It does not need a disclaimer. You have the right to speak however you speak and let your words stand on their own. Some people will not understand you. That is their limitation, not yours. Some people will correct you unkindly. That is their character, not your failure. You do not need to explain why you said it that way. You do not need to apologize for trying. You simply need to speak, and keep speaking, until your confidence is louder than your doubt. When you stop explaining your English, something shifts. You stop monitoring yourself so closely. You stop translating every thought through a filter of how it will be judged. You start taking risks. You start saying things that are true rather than things that are safe. You start having real conversations instead of performances, and your English improves faster because you are using it, living it, rather than auditing it. You are making mistakes and moving on rather than dissecting each error for an invisible jury. You are free, and freedom is the fastest path to fluency, not perfection, not approval, freedom. I want to address the deepest fear now, the fear that if you do not explain, you will be a mystery, and mystery makes people suspicious. They will think you are hiding something. They will think you are arrogant. They will think you do not care about them. And to this fear, I say, let them think. You cannot control what others think. You never could. All your explaining was never really about helping them understand. It was about managing your anxiety. It was an attempt to control their perception of you. And it never worked. People think what they think based on their own history, their own wounds, their own projections. Your 3-page essay on why you made that choice will not change their fundamental worldview. It will just give them more material to twist. So save your energy, save your words, save your peace. There is a difference between privacy and secrecy, between dignity and arrogance, between self-possession and coldness. You are not being secretive when you decline to explain. You are being appropriate. You are recognizing that not everyone deserves access to your inner world, that your reasons are precious, that your journey is complex, that most people do not have the context to understand even if you tried to tell them. And that is okay. You can be kind without being an open book. You can be loving without being transparent. You can be connected without being consumed. Let me give you some practical language for this, because I know you need words to replace the old habit of explaining. When someone asks why you are learning English, you can simply say, because I want to. When someone asks why you said no to an invitation, you can say, it does not work for me this time. When someone questions your choice, you can say, this is what feels right for me. When someone pushes for more, you can say, I would rather not discuss it. Or simply, I have explained what I can. These are complete sentences. They do not need more. Practice them. Feel their weight. Notice how they protect your energy without closing your heart. And practice your English this way too. Do not explain your mistakes, just correct them and continue. Do not apologize for your level, just communicate with what you have. Do not justify your accent. It is the music of your history. Do not defend your pace. You are exactly where you need to be. Speak as if you have the right to be heard, because you do. The right to speak does not depend on perfection. It depends on existence. You exist. Therefore, you may speak. No explanation required. I want you to imagine your life without this burden, without the constant preparation of defenses, without the mental rehearsals of how you will justify your next move, without the anxiety of anticipating judgment. Imagine waking up and simply doing what you need to do, being who you are, choosing what you choose, and letting that be enough. Imagine conversations where you share because you want to, not because you owe someone an account. Imagine relationships where you are accepted rather than interrogated. Imagine a sense of self that is solid, that does not wobble when someone disagrees, that does not need external validation to stand. This is available to you, but it requires a choice. The choice to stop explaining. The choice to let your life speak for itself. This does not mean you become silent. It means you become selective. You speak when speech serves truth or connection. You remain quiet when speech would only serve insecurity. You learn to distinguish between the generous impulse to share and the fearful impulse to defend. And you choose, again and again, the generous over the fearful, until it becomes natural, until it becomes who you are. I know this is hard. I know the habit of explaining is deep. It is tied to your need for love, for safety, for belonging, but I want you to consider this. The love that requires constant explanation is not love, it is control. The safety that depends on perpetual justification is not safety, it is prison. The belonging that demands you account for every difference is not belonging, it is conformity. And you were not made for conformity, you were made for truth, for freedom. For the unique expression of being, that is yours alone. So here is your practice. For the next 24 hours, notice every time you start to explain. Notice the physical sensation that comes before the words, the tightness in your chest, the need to be understood, to be approved, to be excused, and pause, take a breath, and choose silence instead. Or choose a simple statement that does not open the door to debate. I have decided. This is my choice. This is what I need. And tolerate the discomfort that follows, because it will follow. The other person might be confused. They might push back. They might fill the silence with more questions. Let them. Stay rooted. Remember that you do not owe them a dissertation on your existence. You owe yourself the dignity of self-possession. If you do this, even imperfectly, even for just one day, you will feel something shift. A reclaiming of territory, a return of energy, a quiet pride that comes from standing your ground without building a fortress of words. And you will want more of this feeling. You will begin to crave the simplicity of being rather than the complexity of explaining. And your life will open up. Time will appear that you did not know you had. Mental space will clear that was cluttered with defensive rehearsals. Relationships will clarify, showing you who is with you and who is just enjoying your performance. And you will be free, truly free, to live, to learn, to speak, to be. This freedom extends to your English learning too. When you stop explaining why you are not better, why you made that mistake, why you need to practice. You simply improve. You simply become the speaker you want to be without the weight of justification slowing you down. Your English becomes yours, not a project for others to evaluate, but a tool for you to use, a voice for you to express, a bridge for you to cross. And that is the point. That has always been the point. So I am asking you today, stop explaining yourself to anyone, not out of arrogance, not out of coldness, but out of respect for yourself, out of recognition that your life is yours to live, not to present for approval, out of love for the person you are becoming, who needs your protection, not your apology, out of faith that the right people will understand without explanation, and the wrong people never would have understood anyway. You are enough. Your choices are enough. Your English is enough. Your existence is enough. No footnotes required. No appendices needed. No defense necessary. Just you, standing in your truth, speaking in your voice, living your life. That is the goal. That is the freedom. And it starts the moment you stop explaining and start being. If this message touched your heart today, if you felt something heavy lift, if you feel a little more free, a little more solid, then I ask you to do 3 things. First, like this video. Let me know you are here. Let me know this mattered. Your like helps other people find this message too. It helps other learners who are tired of justifying, who are ready to simply be. Second, subscribe to English Speaking and Listening Club. Join this family. Come back every week for more truth, more practice, more freedom. We are learning English, yes, but we are also learning to live. And the two cannot be separated. Third, and most important, practice this today. Say no without explaining. Make a choice without defending it. Speak your English without apologizing. And feel the power of simply being, because that power is yours. It has always been yours. You just forgot for a while, and now you remember. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing to reclaim yourself. I will be here next time, ready to support you, ready to remind you that you are enough exactly as you are. Until then, stop explaining, start being, and watch your life transform.